Hey folks, I wanted to give you a run through of calculating a stairwell opening width when we have a set of switchback stairs, so a U-shape kind of set of stairs. And so here, basically, because we walk down these stairs and now we're at this landing level, we have to calculate how much room we would need so that as we're walking down the stairs, we don't hit our heads. We have enough headroom at this point. But because we've kind of already come down, we've gained some height here. So we've dropped down. We're starting at a lower level, and so the stairwell opening length will change as opposed to a stairwell opening that is measured from here to here. Where would the headroom requirement be? So if we look at this problem, we have a total rise from finished floor to finished floor of 137 3/4. Our floor, upper construction here, the thickness of the floor is 12.5. We're aiming for a unit rise of 7 3/8. We're going to use our preferred stair formula, the proportioning rule, 17.5. Code says we need a headroom of 6'5", 77 inches. Our stair width is 38, and we're going to allow, for drywall here, riser board, hanger board, nosing, and so on, of 3 inches, and so on. Okay, and in this case, we know that where the landing is, it's going to be 7 rises down from the top. Okay, that's there. So first things first, we need to figure out what our unit rise and run and everything will be. So we're aiming for 7 3/8. We'll try to get as close to that as we can. So what we'll do is we'll take 137 3/4, and we're going to divide it by 7 just to kind of see how many rises we have. So here we have 19.67. We can't have 0.67 of a rise, so we're going to have to round it either up to 20 or down to 19. Divided by 7 equals 19.67. So since we're aiming for more than 7, what we'll do is we'll round this down. So we'll round this down to 19, and what that'll do is that will give us an answer larger than 7. Okay, so we get 2. Step number 2, we're going to go 137 3/4, and we're going to go divided by 19 this time. And we get, wow, almost like I planned it, 7 1/4 inches on the nose. Okay, so using the stair proportioning rule here, we're going to say rise plus run equals 17.5. So if we take 7 1/4 off of 17.5, we get 10 1/4. Okay, so we have that. So now really what we want to know is, well, how long does this stairwell opening need to be? And really we want to know what the rough stairwell opening needs to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, okay, well, we'll use our stairwell opening formula. Okay, so unit run over unit rise is equal to our finished stairwell opening over headroom plus upper construction. Now in this case, because we are dropping down 7 rises, what we're going to do is we're going to go minus upper flight. Wow, that's really not nice. Sorry, guys. Upper, let's say stair rise. So what's the total rise of the upper stairs? Okay, so let's look at that. So we'll have 10.25 over 7.25. We're going to get our finished stairwell opening. And now this is too much to write out. So let's just kind of do the math here together. So 77, you can see our upper construction is 12.5, so plus 12.5. Okay, so 89.5. Now we have 7 rises in the upper flight. Okay, so we have 89.5 here. We're going to go 7 times our unit rise. Okay, 50 3/4, and we're going to take off 89.5. So we went headroom plus upper construction, and we took off our total rise of our upper set, which was 50 3/4, and the remainder, what we have here is 38.75. Okay, so we can cross multiply and divide to get what our headroom would need to be. So 38.75 times 10 1/4 divided by 7 1/4. And we get our finished stairwell opening of 54.78 inches. So let's kind of unpack what that means. So what we're saying is the distance from here to here would need to be 54 and basically 3/4 of an inch once all of our finishes are included. So since we don't know, what we're going to add for, ceiling finishes and drywall and riser boards and hanger boards and nosings, we have a rough idea. We typically just add an allowance of 3 inches just to be safe. So our rough stairwell opening would be 57 3/4. Okay. Now, if you look at the drawing here, we're actually saying, well, what's the distance from the wall to here? Right? So we want to get our rough stairwell opening from the wall to here. So what we have to do is we have to add on the length of our landing here. So we have to go 57 3/4 plus 38 inches. And we get 95 3/4. So the distance from the wall to the, where the header joist would be up here should be about 95 3/4 of an inch. Now, if we want to add a layer to this, okay, that's okay. We've solved it. That's the rough stairwell opening. That would give us enough headroom if we put our line along our nosing line and we wanted to measure, sorry, wrong button. We want to measure our height to make sure we have enough headroom. 54 3/4, really 57 3/4 at the rough framing stage. And then the total distance from here to here, basically 96 inches would be plenty, 95 3/4. Okay, so that solves that problem. What we would want to also maybe figure out is, well, what the length of the landing should be, okay, if we were to try to account for how much extra do we need to add on to the landing to make sure we have full bearing of our upper stringers. So here we said this is 38 inches from, finish to finish. Again, just go with it. I know there's no drywall on this wall right now, but just for rough numbers here, that's 38 inches. And so what we really want to figure out is well, how long is that? Okay. Now, one thing we have to consider is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 runs in the upper set. Each run is 10 1/4 inches. Okay, so 6 times 10 1/4 equals 61.5 inch total run. Okay, so that's taking us a certain distance. Well, we said the distance from here to here was 57 3/4. Well, if we go 61.5 minus 57 3/4, we get a difference of 3 3/4. So we already, to ensure our proper amount of headroom, we already have 3 3/4 of bearing. Okay. Now we would ideally have most of the bearing concentrated at the back side of the stringer. That's where it would be the strongest. So what we want to do is we'll figure out, well, how long is that floor cut, if you want to call it, for the bottom of the stringer. And what we can do is we can add on an additional whatever to the 3 3/4 we already have. Okay, so if we zoom in, the way we can figure this out is we know that in this example we're using a 2x12, 11 1/4 inches. Okay, and so if we were to calculate the plumb cut of that, assuming we already know our unit triangle here, 7 1/4, 10 1/4, and this is 12 9/16 basically. We could use similar triangles to solve for the hypotenuse here. So just go with me on this, all right? So if we use our similar triangles, we're going to go hypotenuse over run. Okay, so hypotenuse over run is equal to, let's go plumb cut over 11 1/4. Okay, so we cross multiply, divide, and I had this on the sheet. Oh yeah, we get plumb cut is equal to 13.77 inches. Okay, cross multiply, divide. So the total height there is 13.77. Now, what we really want to know basically is if we were to continue this line down and continue this line down, okay, is we're trying to figure out the height here. Because if we figure out the height there, we could do another similar triangles and figure out this run, the total run, okay? So we know that our rise from, oh no, we know that our rise, sorry about that, guys, from here to here is 7 1/4 inches, okay? And we said that this plumb cut, I'll redraw it, sorry, this is 13.77 inches, 11.25 inches, okay? So what we know is that's already 7 1/4. So what we can do is we can go 13.77 inches minus 7.25. Oh, sorry, we can't go 7.25 because we don't actually want to know the height to the top of the tread. We want to know it to the underside of the tread. So not 7.25, but we'll take 1.5 inches off, and we end up with 6 1/4. No, 5 3/4. Sorry, 5 3/4 inches. Okay, so that's the height from underside of tread to the floor. Okay, so what we end up with is 11.34 inches when we subtract 5 3/4 off. Okay, and oh no, what am I saying? Oh gosh, sorry guys, I messed up there. Let me just pull up my calculator. I'm all mixed up on my worksheet here. So 13.77 minus 5.75. Okay, 802. So what we have left, I'm all messed up. So sorry, guys. Down here is 8.02 inches of height. Okay, and so what we'll do is we'll figure out the run here. All right, so similar triangles, we can go unit run over unit rise. Unit run over unit rise is equal to x over what we have left over down here. That's 8.02. That's the remaining amount, I guess. So we'll have 10.25 over 7.25 x 8.02. Now, I'm all mixed up on my sheet, so I'm going to just do this live here. Times 10.25 divided by 7.25 equals. So we get 11. That's where my 11.34 came from. Okay, so 11.34 inches is the run here, total. But I had said earlier, we already know we have 3 3/4 extra because of the length of each run and how wide that opening would be. So what we can do is 11.34 minus 3.75. Minus 3.75. So what we'd have to do is extend the length of the landing by an additional basically 7 9/16 of an inch, and that would make sure we have full bearing of the tread on the landing, and it would make sure that we have now made sure that we have the proper distance to make sure we have enough headroom. All right, guys, I know that's kind of convoluted and there's a lot of stuff going on there, but I hope you find this helpful. This is a way of calculating, again, the stairwell opening for our upper set. And again, that final number was 95 3/4 overall. Okay? All the best, folks.